All right, good morning. I'm Christian Menefee, the Harris County Attorney, and we're happy to be here today to announce some swift legal action that we plan to take in response to an action by the TCEQ. But first, I want to announce the various public officials and community members that are here with us today. We have our new Houston City Controller, Chris Hollins. We have Dr. Ismail Porsa, the President and CEO of Harris Health. Amy Den from Lone Star Legal Aid. Keith Downey, representing Super Neighborhood 52, Huey Jermaine Wilson, representing Super Neighborhood 48, Sherry Dunlap, representing the Metropolitan Organization and Saint of Assisi Parish. We have Sister Maureen O'Connell, who's here on behalf of the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. We have Yoruba Harris on behalf of the Office of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee for the 18th Congressional District. We have Justin Concepcion here from Senator Boris Miles' office, or Senate District 13. Have I forgotten anybody? No. Okay, we got everybody here. Look, for months now, we've been ringing the alarm about a potential concrete crushing plant that's going to be placed right across the street from LBJ, one of the largest trauma centers here in the state of Texas. Since that time, we have now seen that exactly what we called has happened. The TCEQ, after doing a meaningless review, has approved the company's permit. That's Texas Materials, and we're here today to announce our continued opposition and the next steps that we plan to take. You know, it's ironic that just 24 hours after we were celebrating a win in the environmental justice movement yesterday, when Waste Management decided to drop their application to expand a landfill, we're now having to get right back in the fight here in this neighborhood to oppose the concrete crushing plant. Why is this bad? Well, folks, this is common sense, right? You don't put a facility that crushes concrete, that pollutes the air, just across the street from a hospital. So we're saying no to pushing pollution on our patients. We're saying no to pushing concrete on folks who are vulnerable and here in our community. And we're standing up to these facilities being hyper-concentrated in neighborhoods that are underserved and have black and brown folks who live in them. This was a sham process from the jump, exactly as we've seen the TCEQ do time and time again. More than 660 comments were filed related to this permit application. You know, we do this work a lot in the Harris County Attorney's Office, and time after time we see comments filed, but we never see 660 comments filed. But that's exactly what happened here. That's much higher than we normally see, yet somehow the TCEQ was able to make its way through each and every one of those comments in just over 30 days. And this included our comments from the Harris County Attorney's Office, where we made clear that this hospital has a place of worship, not just the chapel, but also each and every one of the patient rooms where you see pastors going into the room, providing prayer and other types of services with the patients. And despite all of these comments, the TCEQ issued their response to those comments just this past Wednesday, summarily disregarding them. And then they soon thereafter approved the permit. And we just got word today of the official approval, which triggers some important deadlines. So what's going to happen next? Well, now that the company has their permit, they're going to be looking to start the process of building their concrete crushing plant. My office is working very closely with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and our partners at the state, including Senator Boris Miles, and we're going to be filing a motion to overturn with the TCEQ commissioners. Lone Star Legal Aid is going to be joining us in that effort, but I want to be clear. This is an administrative remedy that we do not expect will be successful. And the reason is because the initial decision is made by the executive director of the TCEQ, but the motion for overturn is decided by the TCEQ commissioners, and I think that those folks have shown us time and time again that they stand for industry and not for the people. So if and when that fails, we're in conversation with Harris Health, our hospital district, about taking legal action, about getting in the courtroom to ensure that the interests of this hospital, of this community, are protected. I look forward to that effort, because what you're seeing here is representatives from the federal government, from state government, from county government, and even yesterday, our mayor noted that city government, we have our city controller here as well, will be supporting this effort. You have not just the community, not just nonprofits, but local public officials standing together with state and federal public officials saying enough is enough. We don't want this concrete crushing plant in our neighborhood. We don't want this concrete crushing plant across the street from our hospital. And we're going to do everything in our power, just like we did with that landfill in Carverdale, to fight back and ensure that the people have their day in court. I now want to turn the mic over to our President and CEO of Harris Health, Dr. Ismail Porsa, and then after that you'll hear from our City Controller, Chris Hollins.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning, and thank you, County Attorney Christian Menefee. Thank you for everybody else who's here this morning in support of what you just heard. I'm really at a loss for words. You know, we have held public hearings, we have had media events, we have issued written statements stating the obvious, that putting a concrete crushing plant literally across the street from a level 3 trauma center hospital, LBJ Hospital, makes no sense. You add to that fact that this is also the site of the future level 1 trauma center hospital for Harris County, the third of its kind in this county, with almost $2 billion of taxpayer investment in this site, makes the decision by TCEQ even less comprehensible. The science is very clear. The air pollutants that are going to be generated by this concrete crushing plant is going to add to the disease burden for the communities that surround LBJ Hospital. These same communities are already disproportionately suffering from health issues and lower life expectancy than other areas of Harris County. This is only going to add to that burden. Over the last few months, I have learned that creation of a concrete crushing plant such as the one that is proposed here, close to residences, places of worship, and schools, are already prohibited by Texas law. I have wondered, why not hospitals? Why weren't hospitals included in that law? Unlike places of worship and schools, where hundreds of people may gather together a few times a week, a hospital, especially a level 1 trauma center hospital that is in the future plans for this site, is going to be open 24/7, 365 days a year, hosting hundreds of thousands of people, many of whom elderly and not already feeling well. So why not hospitals? The only thing that I could think of is that at the time when this legislature was being discussed and decided on, people probably thought to themselves, who would ever put a crushing plant across the street from a hospital? And yet here we are. This is absurdity at its worst. So as a physician, as a leader of Harris Health System, I am humbly asking, I am begging the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, the TCEQ, to please reconsider its decision to allow for this concrete crushing plant to go forward. I have no doubt if this plan goes forward that we are going to see even more significant negative health disparities among the residents of the communities surrounding this area. This is indeed a very sad day. I want to thank you all again for coming in support. Thank you.
Good morning. You may ask, first of all, why the city controller is present today, why the person responsible for the city of Houston's finances is talking about an environmental issue. There's a true cost to these types of tragedies. Just this week, not only did we celebrate a victory yesterday, but the day before at City Council, we spent a lot of time talking about millions of dollars that the city is going to have to put up to relocate Houstonians away from cancer-causing, eyesores and cancer-causing, places within the city. There is a dollar cost to this. The investment by the city so far in relocation has been $5 million. The current consideration is $2 million. And as our mayor and our city council discussed, the total cost of that project is looking towards the tens of millions. And so as we think about the obvious ramifications of placing a concrete batch plant here, the relocation that would be necessary, very near in the future, that's going to be a huge problem. But make no mistake, when we talk about tens of millions that are going to be required by the taxpayers of this city, of this county, The true cost of this is human life. We stand together today in a hospital, one of the few places that folks in this community, especially those without insurance, especially those without access to Medicare and Medicaid, that we could expand in the state of Texas but haven't. This is one of the few places that they can come. And now we're putting something right in the midst of this environment that's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt the folks who are coming to visit them. It's going to hurt the folks who are coming to pray with them. And we stand at the outset of a new administration here in the city of Houston. And we've talked about the ability of local government and state government to work together. I want to thank, of course, our County Attorney Christian Menefee for leading us in this fight. I want to thank Senator Boris Miles and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee for their partnership. But our mayor has talked about the opportunity to re-engage in a positive and productive way with the state. And so the message to TCEQ, the message to Governor Greg Abbott is, if there was ever a time to get on the same page with the people of the city of Houston and the people of Harris County, that time is now. When we're asking you to protect us, when we're asking you to save our lives, when we're asking you to do your job, the environmental organization of this state that is meant to be doing everything in its power to keep us safe is asleep at the wheel. That does not have to be the case. The opportunity is now, and we need to seize that opportunity. But if the governor, if TCEQ will not get on board, I trust that our county attorney, I trust that our city, I trust that our state and congressional representatives will all stand shoulder to shoulder to fight on behalf of the people of Houston. And last but not least, I want to thank the community leaders who are present here today, the leaders of these health organizations, and folks who are giving voice to the voiceless. We appreciate your activism. We appreciate your steadfastness in speaking up on behalf of your families and your neighbors, and know that the city of Houston is here with you. Thank you.
All right, next I'm going to welcome up two of our community leaders who are here, Huey German Wilson from Super Neighborhood 48 and Keith Downey from Super Neighborhood 52, and they're both going to give some remarks.
Good morning. We're here this morning in a place that we had not been often with this many people, because this fight has gone on for a long time. We're at the intersection of City Gas, Houston Gardens, Trinity Gardens, Cashmere Gardens, only about 3 miles from 5th Ward, East Tex Jensen. Notice the similarities in these communities. Keith and I represent Trinity Gardens and Cashmere Gardens, but notice that these are all black and brown communities that already have more concrete batch plants in our purview than anybody else in the state of Texas. We are ready. We are long past overdue for TCEQ to be our advocate, because they are charged with protecting us. It is apparent that that is not what they think their job is, but we as the community are here to remind them. And now that we have the city attorney, the county attorney, we have Lone Star Legal Aid, who has long been our advocate and working with us. We have the legislators and our congresswoman. We have the NAACP and the city of Houston. We are destined to reverse this charge, but we need community to continue to be active. Over 600 comments. I don't think people realize what that means. When we typically see fewer than 100 comments on these things, we have over 600 comments over the Christmas holidays. This is imperative that we all continue to rally together. And again, we appreciate our legislators, our county attorney, and mostly we appreciate LBJ, because the county could have chose, Harris County Hospital District could have chose to do this $2 billion facility anywhere else in the county. It was necessary that it be here. We just didn't know it would be necessary for it to be here, to be across the street from a concrete batch plant. So we look forward to working with the groups that are represented, and we look forward as the community to coming out and continuing to challenge this permit. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Keith Downey, Super Neighborhood President for this community, Cashmere Garden. As I stated months ago at a podium, why us, why again? Why us, why again? I received a notice a couple of days ago from TCEQ that another facility at Collinsworth between Jensen and Elysian wants a renewal for a rock crushing facility. Why are you continuing to put profit over people? There are so many concrete batch plants in this community. Now we're talking in Cashmere Garden about, in 5th Ward, we're talking about, of course, the cancer clusters. There are more than one, there's a couple. We're talking about rock crushing facilities. We're talking about concrete batch plant right over the bridge there on Homestead. Why are you continuing to give permits to industry to poison people? When does it become people over profit? When do you care about those that you receive taxes from? Do you work for the people or do you work for industry as an agency in the state of Texas? We are standing here in conjunction today because we believe it's people over profit. Why don't you join us as the state to say, because you may think differently, speak differently, and look differently, you count too. Please do not be blatant and say, I care about all Texans, but ignore the health and wellness of a certain group. I think this, and I'll close it with this. I think this is a slap to everybody in Harris County. We only have 2 county hospitals, Bentab and LBJ. It's very suspicious why they want a permit as this goes under construction. We're not stupid. We understand industry is in business to make money, but we're in business to live. So I'm asking that this be overturned. I appreciate everybody standing up here in conjunction, working for the health and wellness of people over profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith, for the very, very powerful words. Next, I'm going to welcome up the members of our faith community who are here. Ms. Sherry Dunlap from the Metropolitan Organization, Sister Maureen O'Connell from the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston, and of course, Bishop James Dixon. And I also want to recognize Charles Turner as well. Charles, if you'd like to speak, you're more than welcome to.
I'm Sherry Dunlap from the Metropolitan Organization and representing St. Francis of Assisi Parish, which is right across the freeway. I want to say what has been described here is environmental racism. When you see the number of plants that are already in this general vicinity within 2 to 3 mile radius, and you see the people of color, brown and black skinned people, live within that area. And we have what we would call receipts. These are signatures, half of which were obtained within 24 hours after finding out about this concrete crushing facility. So this is over 650. We had a huge number of people who showed up and voiced their concerns and oppositions the night that we had the community meeting. All of those people were told by TCEQ that they would receive a response to their opposition. We don't know of one who has received a response. We were told that the response would be received before they granted the permit. That didn't happen. We learned about the permit being granted within the past 24 hours. We want to know, when are they planning to respond to all the people that they committed to respond to? I'm making my comments brief to yield to the other ministry here.
Good morning. I'm Sister Maureen O'Connell. I'm with the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston, and I'm really here to represent our entire spiritual communities, but all of the people who live here, the people in this community who deserve to live in an environment that's healthy and will continue to make them be healthy. This building is the beginning of what's going to be the next step in terms of the new facility. This is a building where people are educated day in and day out. This is a place where people are served spiritually day in and day out. And all of that is in combination with the health care that they receive from Harris County Health. The Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston stands with the people of this community, stands with Harris Health, and with all the people who recognize the absurdity of a decision that would allow for a concrete crushing plant to be opened across the freeway from this building. It makes no sense, and it certainly speaks nothing to the common good. Speaks nothing to the call that each of us have as believers, that everybody deserves a right to live in a place that's healthy and whole. Thank you.
Say good morning. My name is Pastor Charles Turner of New Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church, also affiliated with TMO, NAACP. I just stand here as someone who not only serves in this community, but I live in this community as well, raising my 9-year-old daughter. And like all of us, we just simply want to live. We've heard a lot about who's been getting permits. There's one group of people they have not received permission from, and that is this community. We stand in opposition to this batch plant coming in solidarity and in agreement with all that has already been said. I close with this. We no longer want this concrete to come into our community and continue to crush our hopes and our dreams. So again, Pastor Turner, we stand in solidarity with this community, and we stand against this batch plant coming into our community.
Thank you, Attorney Christian Menefee, and to all of us who are here in solidarity, standing with each other and standing on behalf of our unnamed citizens who are often the victims of poor public policy. And I want to commend the leaders of the super neighborhoods for being on the forefront of this fight, along with our elected officials and all of us who are here. I'm James Dixon. I'm the president of the Houston chapter of the NAACP. I am social justice chair for the Houston Metropolitan Baptist Ministers Conference, and I wear a number of hats, all that have to do with serving our community. I simply want to say a couple of things today. The NAACP is here because this is an affront to civil rights and to human rights. This is absolutely taking us backwards to a place that we should not be going backwards to. The Houston NAACP supports this coalition, and we will work vehemently against the continuation of such. This permit is an insult to this community. We do know the numbers, the stats prove already that the death rate here in this quadrant of our city is higher than others, and it comes too soon. I grew up on Homestead, a few miles from here, on Homestead off of on St. Louis Street. I know what this community has faced for 30 and 40 and 50 years of mistreatment. Today, we're here simply to say this. It's very important. This is a death permit. We need to call it what it is. And now, y'all can say amen today. Amen. Because this is a death permit. What TCEQ has done is given a death permit to this concrete batch plant to come into our community to continue to escalate premature deaths, poor health, and sickness and disease. We cannot stand for that. We will call on our governor and all state legislators to stand with us. And those who don't stand with us are standing for the death of us. We've got to be very, very clear. We respect ourselves. We demand to be respected. We will protect ourselves. We want to protect this community. And we need to call for a massive town hall gathering of those 606,000 people to come together to say that we will not allow it to happen. And then finally, profit over people. We will not support the businesses who hire these concrete companies. The key is economics. As long as businesses can hire concrete batch plants in our community and make profit from them, and they still profit from our support, they will continue this kind of nonsense. We've got to decide that anyone profiting from these concrete batch plants in our community, killing us while profiting from us, is insane. And so we've got to understand a change of strategy, affect the money, and we will affect the change. The root of love of money is the root of all evil. Finally, I close with this. We need to stand together and say, respect us or expect us. Respect us or expect us. We're not going away. We're getting larger because the army of life wants to live. Thank you so very much. I almost called you a congressman. Thank you so very much. I am prophetic. Thank you so very much, Christian Menefee, our county attorney. Thank you so very much, Chris Hollins, and all of our elected officials, Congresswoman Lee and others, for standing with us. This community must live. We shall not die.
Thank you very much, Bishop.
Amen.
Justin, you want to say something? Okay, so next we're going to hear from Justin from Senator Boris Miles' office. I'll read a statement from Representative Harold Dutton, and then after that we'll take questions.
Hello, my name is Justin Concepcion. I'm the Communications Director for Texas State Senator Boris Miles of Senate District 13. I will be reading a written statement from the Senator. Yesterday, my office was informed that Texas Coastal Materials has been given a permit to build a concrete crusher next to LBJ Hospital. This battle is not over, and I will continue to fight the construction and operation of this polluting facility. Last month, I joined hundreds of community members, medical professionals from LBJ Hospital, and environmental advocates to voice our strong opposition to Texas Coastal Materials' air permit application. This plant will threaten the health of patients and staff at LBJ, many of whom are already suffering from serious health issues. Senate District 13 is plagued by the legacy of environmental racism, with polluters in their midst that have poisoned the air and water and created a cancer cluster just a few miles from here. TCEQ and its leadership must stop rubber stamping these facilities and end its cozy relationship with the industries that allow these facilities to grow unchecked in minority communities. Harris County voters just approved a $2.5 billion to fund a new Level 1 trauma center at LBJ, as well as updating and expanding the hospital. The voters have shown their strong commitment to LBJ. We can't let polluters threaten that community investment. I plan on filing a motion to overturn TCEQ's decision. This rock crushing facility will be located within 440 yards of LBJ Hospital, which is home to a chapel that hosts services and is a major teaching hospital. State law does not allow crushers to be built that close to a place of worship or a school. I will never stop fighting against facilities like these, and will continue to file legislation to address concrete batch plants and the cumulative effects of pollution so that we can end the locating of these facilities in our neighborhoods. This community should no longer have to suffer from the environmental racism that has been a scourge of our neighborhoods for decades. Thank you.
Okay, this is a statement from Representative Harold Dutton in the 142nd Legislative District. I'm deeply disappointed and concerned about the recent approval granted by the TCEQ for a permit allowing the establishment of once again yet another rock crushing plant inside the city limits, poisoning not just this community but its neighbors. This decision raises serious questions about the prioritization of true environmental justice and the well-being of our communities. It is disheartening to witness a decision that seemingly disregards the consequences of public health. The residents of underserved communities already face numerous challenges, and the approval of this permit further exacerbates their struggles. We cannot ignore the potential respiratory issues, dust-related health hazards, and other adverse effects that may result from the operation of a rock crushing plant. I urge the TCEQ to reconsider this decision and prioritize the well-being of our communities over short-term economic interests. We must explore alternative solutions that do not compromise the health, safety, and quality of life of the residents in our communities throughout Texas. With that, we'll open up for any questions.
Legally, what can the county do legally?
So what we're looking at doing is, in conjunction with our state senator, with Lone Star Legal Aid, and with Harris Health, is filing a lawsuit to try to get the courts to come in and stop this from happening. We're going to search through and through on this permit application and find any type of defect that we can and try to take this to court. But it's important to note that state law doesn't provide many opportunities for folks that get their day in an administrative hearing or in court with these types of facilities, and that's because the rules are rigged by design. So the next legislative session, you can expect that I will be up there calling on the state legislator to change the law, not only to provide for an administrative process for people to get a meaningful day in court or before the TCEQ, but also to, as Dr. Porsa said, add a hospital in the list of locations that are prohibited from building a rock crushing plant across the street.
Could you explain more? Were you taking, I guess, an administrative action first before filing a lawsuit? Can you explain, I guess, the specific process you're going to take at this point?
Sure. So when the application is first filed, the TCEQ goes through what they call a protectiveness review. They then allow people to file comments. And so that 660 number that we mentioned earlier, that was the comment period. And the TCEQ is supposed to consider those comments, right, in their final decision. Here, those 660 comments, which is an alarmingly high number, they took about just over 30 days to summarily disregard all of those comments and issue an approval. So we're now filing what's called a motion to overturn. So the initial decision is made by the executive director of the TCEQ. So we'll be going up to the TCEQ commissioners, who are appointed directly by the governor, to ask them to overturn that decision. We don't expect to have a fair opportunity to be heard in front of them. We're pretty confident they're just going to side with industry. And then after that, we will look into filing a lawsuit. It's important that we exhaust all of our administrative remedies before we go to the courtroom. Any other questions?
What happens next? I mean, you have the community behind you. Anything you're planning or anything we can do?
Two things. We're going to work together with Senator Miles, with our Congresswoman, with our partners at the city, including Comptroller Hollins, as well as the community groups and the NAACP, to try to bring the community together to talk about these issues, right? We plan to file a motion to overturn in conjunction with our local partners as well as Lone Star Legal Aid. So that administrative fight is, you can bet your ass, that's going to happen. But the other piece of this is informing the community so that, they don't just think that it's Christian Menefee or Chris Hollins who opposes this, right? This is not a political thing. You have faith leaders, you have community leaders, right, who are here on the ground seeing what's happening in our communities and who want the state to do the right thing. So we're going to convene those people to ensure that they're informed on the issues, and so that we can have a coordinated effort, right, to do everything we can to lobby, to fight it out in the administrative process, and to, if necessary, fight it out in court.
Timeline, what are we looking at? When do they start building?
So the motion to overturn, I believe the deadline here is the next 30 or 60 days for us to get that on file. So the administrative fight is going to happen here in short term. And my lawyers are already starting the process of looking at what a lawsuit would look like in this instance. So you can expect some major movement on this in the next 60 to 90 days. Any other questions?
Could you elaborate a little bit on why it's difficult to file a lawsuit in these cases? You mentioned that there's not really a fair shot.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a few things. One, the number of people who can seek like a contested case hearing on environmental matters, like with a concrete batch plant, is already incredibly limited, right, generally. And so, the county doesn't just have authority to come in and file a lawsuit on each and every case and saying, hey, we represent all these communities, you need to do the right thing. So you have to find people who live within a certain distance, right? And then there's other instances where if it's a certain type of facility, you don't even have that right? So the rules are designed to not allow people to have like a fair administrative process or any type of real legal recourse when this happens. It's designed to be able to give a rubber stamp to industry, and then that's the end of it. And so, our job is to shake things up. Our job is to come and be a thorn in their side and hope that, a year later the company decides to pull their permit application because it wasn't worth it. And we will pour whatever amount of money we have into making them fight this.
Can I add one other thing to that, please? And that is, the name of this company is Texas Coastal Materials LLC. Texas Coastal Materials LLC. They're coming into our community, hope to, permitted by TCEQ, to put a poisonous concrete batch plant in our community and then go out and solicit business to pour concrete to build things. We advocate through the NAACP discretionary and wise spending. So we will encourage businesses in our community to understand that Texas Coastal Materials LLC is not a company to do business with. This is their first coming into our community. They will have a reputation before they arrive. We don't do business with Texas Coastal Materials LLC because it kills people to make money. That's what the NAACP, this is not just about being emotional. This is about money. And if they come into our community expecting our businesses to hire them to pour concrete that's killing us, we'll make sure that those businesses know that if you support the death of us, you will not get the support from us. That's extremely important.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.